North Africa vs South Africa, which region is better? Hello everyone and welcome to another exciting video. We previously compared the western part of Africa to the eastern part, and if you missed that video, you can click on the card on your screen to check it out. In this video, we shall be putting the northern part of Africa against the southern part to see which sub-region comes on top. The north and the south are both the most prosperous regions in Africa. These two regions are doing relatively well compared to the east and west. So, to better evaluate the whole situation happening in both regions, we shall be looking at aspects like geography and demography, economy, infrastructures, standard of living, human development index, and peace. Before we continue, take a few seconds and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our next video. The north and south are the two extreme ends of the continent. For starters, the northern part of Africa is the northernmost part of the African continent. It consists of 7 countries, including Morocco, Algeria, Egypt, Libya, Tunisia, Mauritania, and Sudan. Western Sahara is also found in the north, but it's not a sovereign country, so we shall not be including it in this video. The southern part, on the other hand, consists of 8 countries, consisting of South Africa, Botswana, Namibia, Lesotho, Eswatini, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Mozambique, which is found on the crossed road between East Africa and South Africa. In terms of land area, the northern part is larger than the southern part. If you combine all the countries in the north, you will have a total area of over 8 million square kilometers compared to less than 5 million square kilometers in the south. The northern region have a combined population of over 250 million people, which is almost double the population of southern Africa, which stands at slightly over 150 million. So when it comes to size and population, the northern part of Africa is larger by a landslide victory. Now let's talk climate of both regions. North Africa has a predominantly arid and semi-arid climate, with hot and dry summers and mild winters. The region is characterized by its vast deserts, including the Sahara, which is the largest hot desert in the world. Temperatures in North Africa can be extreme, with some areas experiencing daytime temperatures that can exceed 50 degrees Celsius during the summer months. The northern coastal areas of North Africa, however, have a Mediterranean climate, with milder temperatures and more rainfall. The region is also prone to periodic droughts, which can have a significant impact on agriculture and water resources. On the other hand, Southern Africa has a varied climate due to its diverse topography and latitudinal range. Generally, the region has a subtropical or tropical climate, with hot and humid summers and mild to cool winters. The coastal regions are influenced by marine currents, resulting in a more moderate climate. The interior regions, on the other hand, are more arid, with the Kalahari Desert covering much of Botswana and parts of Namibia and South Africa. The region is also affected by periodic droughts and occasional floods, which can have a significant impact on agriculture and water resources. The Southern African climate is also influenced by El Niño and La Niña events, which can cause fluctuations in rainfall patterns. So both regions have almost similar climate patterns because the climatic conditions in the north repeats in the south. But overall, the south has a slightly better climate than the north because the north is extremely dry and hot. When it comes to economy, the economy of Northern Africa is diverse, with some countries in the region being heavily dependent on natural resources, while others have more diversified economies. The region is rich in natural resources, including oil and gas, minerals, and agricultural land. Algeria, for example, is heavily dependent on its oil and gas exports, which account for the majority of its export earnings and government revenue. Libya also relies heavily on its oil exports, although its economy has been severely impacted by political instability in recent years. Egypt has a more diversified economy, with a thriving tourism industry and a growing services sector, but it also has significant natural resources, including oil and gas. Tunisia, Morocco, and Sudan, among others, have more diversified economies, with agriculture, manufacturing, and services sectors playing a significant role in their economies. Tunisia, for example, has a well-developed tourism industry and a growing technology sector, while Morocco has a thriving agricultural sector with exports of fruits and vegetables, as well as a growing manufacturing industry. Overall, the northern part of Africa have a combined GDP of about $850 billion, with Egypt, Algeria, and Morocco contributing the highest. The southern region is distinct from the rest of Africa, with a robust mining sector and comparatively developed secondary and tertiary sectors. Additionally, many countries, with the exception of Mozambique and Malawi in particular, have relatively well-developed infrastructure. Some of its main exports, including platinum, diamonds, gold, copper, cobalt, chromium, and uranium. Southern Africa still faces some of the problems that the rest of the continent does. Despite this, diamond production has fueled the economies of Botswana and Namibia, for example. Over the 20th century, the region developed a robust manufacturing sector, focused on South Africa and Zimbabwe, which allowed greater prosperity and investments into infrastructure, education, and healthcare that elevated both nations into middle-income economies and captured growing markets across Africa. However, since the 1990s, these industries have struggled in the face of globalization and cheaper imports from China, leading to job losses particularly in heavy industry, gold mining, and textiles. Zimbabwe in particular has seen significant deindustrialization as a result of factors both domestic and foreign. While colonialism has left its mark on the development over the course of history, today poverty, corruption, and HIV/AIDS are some of the biggest factors impeding economic growth. In addition, South Africa and Zimbabwe in particular face high immigration among their skilled workers, leading to a significant brain drain to Western economies and billions lost in human capital flight. The pursuit of economic and political stability is an important part of the region's goals, as demonstrated by the SADC. However, complete regional integration remains an elusive target. In terms of economic strength, South Africa is the dominant economy of the region. Generally, mining, agriculture, the public sector, and tourism dominate the economies of southern African countries, apart from South Africa, which has mature and flourishing financial, retail, and construction sectors. Zimbabwe maintains a smaller banking and real estate sector along with what remains of its manufacturing industry, despite a protracted economic crisis. Most global banks have their regional offices for Southern Africa based in Johannesburg. Overall, the southern part of Africa have a combined GDP of $492 billion. To conclude, the northern part of Africa has a stronger economy than the southern, but when it comes to GDP per capita, the southern part of Africa has a better GDP per capita of $27.300 compared to the North's $21,400. This indicates that despite the fact that the North has a bigger GDP combined on a per head count, the South is better. Which brings us to the standard of living. For this category, we shall be looking at the Human Development Index. The Human Development Index, HDI, is a measure of human development that takes into account factors such as life expectancy, education, and income. It is used to rank countries based on their level of human development, with higher scores indicating higher levels of development. It usually measures from 0 to 1, with 0 being the lowest and 1 being the highest. Most countries in the north score 0.7, with the exception of Sudan and Mauritania that scored 0.5 respectively. The countries on the south score mostly 0.6, with the exception of Namibia, Botswana, and South Africa that scored 0.6. So to conclude on this category, countries in the north have a better standard of living than the countries in the south, so the north wins this category. The infrastructure in northern Africa varies by country, but overall the region has made significant progress in developing its infrastructure in recent years. Egypt alone is building an entirely new city in one of the most ambitious projects in history. Transportation infrastructure is a key focus in the region, with several countries investing in the development of highways, railways, and airports. Algeria, for example, has developed a network of highways and railways, including the recently completed East-West Highway, which connects the country's major cities. Egypt has also invested in transportation infrastructure, including the development of new highways and the expansion of its metro system. Energy infrastructure is also a priority in the region, with several countries investing in renewable energy and expanding their electricity grids. Morocco, for example, has made significant investments in solar power, with the development of the Noor Ouarzazate solar complex, one of the largest solar power plants in the world. Egypt is also investing in renewable energy, including wind and solar power. Water infrastructure is another key focus in the region, with several countries investing in the development of dams and irrigation systems to improve agricultural productivity. Sudan, for example, has developed several large dams, including the Meroe Dam on the Nile River, which has improved irrigation and electricity generation in the country. Overall, while there is still room for improvement in some areas, Northern Africa has made significant progress in developing its infrastructure in recent years, which has helped to drive economic growth and improve the lives of its citizens. Southern African countries, particularly South Africa, Namibia, and Botswana, have worked so hard on their infrastructures, and these countries are some of the most developed countries in Africa. Transportation infrastructure is a key focus in the region, with several countries investing in the development of highways, railways, and airports. South Africa, for example, has a well-developed transportation infrastructure, including a network of highways, railways, and airports that connect the country to other parts of the region and the world. Other countries in the region, such as Zambia and Mozambique, have also invested in transportation infrastructure, including the development of new highways and railways. Energy infrastructure is also a priority in the region, with several countries investing in renewable energy and expanding their electricity grids. South Africa, for example, has made significant investments in renewable energy, including wind and solar power, and has expanded its electricity grid to improve access to electricity in rural areas. Mozambique is also investing in renewable energy, including the development of a large natural gas project that will provide electricity to the country and other parts of the region. Water infrastructure is another key focus in the region, with several countries investing in the development of dams and irrigation systems to improve agricultural productivity. Zimbabwe, for example, has developed several large dams, including the Kariba Dam and the Tokmukosi Dam, which have improved irrigation and electricity generation in the country. Though it is a little difficult to determine which region has better infrastructures, the northern has an edge over the south because more countries in the north are doing well in terms of infrastructure, whereas in the south just South Africa, Namibia, and Botswana really stand out. And finally, let's talk peace. Going by the Global Peace Index, the southern part of Africa is generally more peaceful than the northern part because the southern countries such as Namibia, Botswana, and Zambia ranks above countries like Sudan, Libya, Morocco, and Mauritania. So, for this category, the southern part wins. To conclude, though both regions are unique in their own way, they however have some similarities. When it comes to surface area and population, the north comes on top. The north also comes on top when it comes to economy, infrastructure, and standard of living, while the south comes on top when it comes to peace and better climate. However, both the north and south are better than the west and east in almost every aspect. Thanks for watching and subscribe to the channel for more.